Exposure and response prevention for the kind of OCD that people usually refer to as pure O is no different to doing ERP for any other kind of OCD. They all follow a very similar pattern. So namely, what we're asking you to do is to expose yourself to your fears, so your fear, thoughts, images, urges or sensations, not perform any of your usual neutralising responses, your compulsions, and then to add the magic ingredient that most people like to try and forget when they're doing exposure and response prevention, which is to do the opposite of what the OCD wants once you've exposed yourself to your fear. So let me give you a little trick about how to find out what the opposite of what your OCD wants is. The trick is to think about when you expose yourself to your feared thoughts or images, urges or sensations, what is your OCD desperately wanting you to do in order to escape from those feelings that have come from doing the exposure? So it probably wants you either to run away or to try and minimise or neutralise, or to do something to make yourself feel better. And if you think about what that compulsion is, and you know what that compulsion is, then you can think, well, what's the opposite of this? So for example, say you have a fear of images of the devil, and you expose yourself by looking at a picture of the devil, and what your OCD really wants to do at that point is to replace it in your mind with a picture of an angel. And we don't want that to happen. That would be doing your compulsion. But it's not only that we don't want you to do that, we also want you to go that one step further, throw in the magic ingredient of doing the opposite of what the OCD wants at that point. So for example, if you're looking at the picture of the devil, you don't do your image of the angel, and then maybe you're going to take out a piece of paper and then draw your own picture of the devil, or write devil and have it flash up on your phone every 5 minutes. You're going to do something at that point that's going to make you feel probably even worse. So you're doing the opposite of trying to avoid or trying to make yourself feel better. Now, I understand that sounds really counterproductive and unpleasant and counterintuitive, but what we know is that when you expose yourself to your fear, you don't perform any of your compulsions, and then you add the special ingredient of doing the opposite of what the OCD wants. It's really powerful in shattering your beliefs about how dangerous and difficult and terrible these thoughts or urges or images and sensations are. And so it's really important to try and to understand how to do the opposite. Now, obviously, unfortunately, it's impossible for me to come up with examples for every single possible thing. But throughout more videos, I will be giving examples. But here's really where the onus is on you to try and understand how your OCD works, get clear on your compulsions, and then look at, okay, what could the opposite of this be? You need to often be quite creative, but the way to think of it is, okay, what would make me feel worse in that moment, do I think? Making the picture bigger in your mind, making 6 devils, or imagining yourself turning into a devil, or, I'm sticking with the devil example, but you can do this with whatever it is that you have an issue with. You have to try and make it worse for yourself, and then stay in the situation until your distress levels naturally start to come down. And that's the process that I've talked about before, called habituation. And it isn't easy, of course it's not easy, but over time, the more you do it and you stick to it, the easier it will become and the better you will get at it.